Welcome back. OK Senior is the class up next. Earlier, I spoke to the championship leader coming into the round. Joe, you won the Super 1 Championship in Junior Rotax last year. You're in the OK classes this year in Senior. First year in Senior, you've gone straight into OK. How are you finding the class?
Yeah, it's a really fun class, really fast. It's different to what I've driven before, and yeah, it's just the grids are a bit smaller at the moment, but I prefer it over the X30 class, so yeah, it's really good.
You came into this weekend leading the championship, but there was a round yesterday, and you think you're running in third at the moment, but still close to the leaders?
Yeah, I struggled a bit yesterday for a bit of pace, and then made a few mistakes in the races, so I think I'm a few points off now, but yeah, we're going into practice and quali now, so we should be good.
And what are the issues with the tyres? Is it that they basically go off so quickly? If you decided to not do time qualifying any heats in a pre-final, started at the back of the final, you could pretty much guarantee a win in that televised race. Is that right?
Yeah, well at Clay Pigeon we had, it's quite an abrasive surface, and the points were set so that obviously there was more points for the final, and drivers were missing out the heats and quali to just go for the final, and then over the
And they did that deliberately?
Yeah, well, some did and some didn't, but either way, if you didn't finish, then you'd have more chance in the later races. So, but we've come to Shennington and the track isn't as hard on the tyres, so we've not really had the same problems as we did at Clay, so it's good.
Okay, well, good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Mark Kimber and Oliver Clark on the front row of the grid, with Joe Turney and James Lingard on the second. Bobby Game and Will Pettit on row 3. Ryan Green is alone on row 4 because Rory Hudson fails to take the start. Then Jamie Flynn, Roman Haskett, Roy Johnson and Ben Wooldridge. It all adds up to a cracking start in OK Senior as we go through Park Bend into Cafe, and already it's a cracking getaway for Mark Kimber. That was close. Goodness me, we almost lost a couple early doors.
Ryan Green was running wide there through Cafe Corner in that distinctive red suit. Last saw Ryan get the podium, I think, at the TKM Festival, Jake, a few weeks ago.
Certainly did. He was on form there, and he needs to make a little bit more ground as we get a little bit of wheel banging through the Bruno Ferrari chicane in the battle for 4th position. That looked like Will Pettit moving up into P4, so a cracking start for him as up the inside, Joe Turney hits the front as he makes the move on Mark Kimber. And who's joining them? How about this? The 7, Bobby Game is getting in there.
Bobby Game, the 96-97 British champion. Bobby Game, 45 years young now. And these drivers in front of him are younger than his children, Jake. But he's got quality. Once you've got it, you've always got it. And he's through to 2nd place.
Absolutely. We talk about the great legends of this sport like Terry Fullerton in the 70s battling away with the people such as Ayrton Senna. In the modern era, Bobby Game is that kind of elite type of driver who just keeps on being brilliant.
He's so fit as well, so fit, Jake. I mean, I'd like to say so fit for his age, but I'll upset his mum. But the 63 makes a move.
That's Roy Johnson. He's made up a place, so that puts him back into contention. Ben Wooldridge trying to work his way through the field as well. But Bobby Game in P2, chasing down Joe Turney. Let battle commence.
He's in a children's sandwich, isn't he, at the moment, in 2nd place? Can he get the lead?
That's a mistake.
That's a mistake by Kimber, who's run well wide, lost 3, make that 4 places.
Down to 6th position goes Mark Kimber. That is out of character as he loses it under braking for Stratford Hairpin. I don't see him making those kind of mistakes too often. Bobby Game makes a move on the inside of Turney, does he? Turney runs out wide.
Come on, Bobby.
That'll do as Bobby Game goes straight to the front. Now they're being chased by the man in 3rd position. Up from 9th, now to 2nd. Jamie Flynn has put it up into P2.
I'm not biased, but I am of the older generation myself. I would love to see Bobby Game stay out front, but he's not out front for long.
Flynn is diving, and so too does Turney. Turney goes through in a 2nd position. Jamie Flynn has literally come up from 9th on the grid to 1st, and we're not even halfway home.
Fantastic racing already. Again, a relatively small grid, 11 in it. 11 took the start anyway. Should have been 12. Obviously, we lost Rory Hudson before the start. But look at the race quality. The 63 goes through. That's the British and Super 1 Cadet champion in 2008, Roy Johnson.
Oliver Clark is in there behind him as well. So in 4th position, Ollie Clark is trying to work his way through. Mark Kimber in 7th position, so with Clark through into 4th position, Game is down to 5th. No, he's not, he's down to 6th, because that is through into 5th position for Ben Wooldridge. He started the race dead last, having difficulties of his own in the earlier pre-final. But now we've got a race leader disappearing out in front, and that man is Jamie Flynn. How he's done that from P9 in the early phase of this race. It's like everybody's just tipped out all of the competitors on a pile in the floor, and then they've all shuffled around. James Lingard makes the move up into 7th position there in Wilkins. It's all changed.
Well, if you remember back to the interview earlier I did with Joe Turney, we were talking about the tyres, and of course Jamie Flynn, Roman Haskett and Roy Johnson didn't complete the earlier pre-final, so Flynn's tyres are 13 laps fresher, Haskett's tyres are 19 laps fresher, and Roy Johnson's tyres are 24 laps fresher than all the others that finished that earlier final, so it will give them a bit of an advantage. But as Joe said, this circuit is not as abrasive as Clay Pigeon, so not so much of an advantage as it was at Clay.
I tell you what, one set of tyres per weekend in 2017 is a win-win-win-win-win, isn't it? There are so many positives. It cuts the costs, it gives us magnificent race battles, it's perfect.
It does, but I'm telling you now, there'll be people in teams and on this grid that would rather have one brand new set of tyres every time they go out.
I'm a fan of it, but then I don't run a race team. Later on into the race, still this battle for 2nd position. Oliver Clark at the front of it, Joe Turney is 3rd position. 4th position, that is Roy Johnson trying to chase them down. 5th place, Waldridge. 6th place, Bobby Game. That's 5 of the best drivers in Great Britain battling for 2nd position, all trying to stay in touch with Jamie Flynn.
Roy Johnson getting that much closer, looks down the inside at turn 1 and takes the spot. So Johnson through to 3rd place.
Thanks, buddy. That was nice and easy. It certainly made it look it going into Pitts Bend as they work their way through. Down into the hairpin. They're still tightening up. Ben Waldridge looking quite threatening there in 5th position, trying to get a move done there on the man now in P4. No longer Roy Johnson, now Joe Turney. Turney trying to get back on terms with Johnson as they come down the hanger straight up towards hanger. Look, he looks over his shoulder, Joe Turney. Who's going to be my biggest threat? Well, that, my friend, is going to be Ben Waldridge for the moment. There's a battle for 7th position, led by Mark Kimber. In behind him is James Lingard.
Mark Kimber was right out front early doors, but he's lost the back of the group in front. He's going to have a lot of work to do to catch them now.
I can understand why, though. He won the earlier pre-final only by 0.13 of a second. You work the tyres that hard, they will be worn, as up the inside goes Waldridge, whose tyres are incredibly fresh.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right, Jake. It may be that he did work the tyres that hard, that he has worn them out, and it looks like he's struggling now, and that will not be because of ability. That will definitely be because of the way the kart is either set up or, for example, condition of the tyres. Here comes Bobby Game down the inside and gets the spot back on Joe Turney.
Superb. Well, Waldridge in the earlier race actually finished 6th on the road, but was then excluded for a technical infringement. So he's working his way forward. He's up into P4 later on into the race, and this is how tight the battle is. Jamie Flynn in a straight line has gone!
Seized his engine, no doubt. Oh, he's absolutely sick.
That is absolutely disastrous for Jamie Flynn, winning the race at a canter after his early retirement, and the kart literally gets out of control in a straight line. That's what happened when the engine goes. Axle locks up, game over. Devastating.
Yeah, that is an absolute sickener. He had this one on a plate. I was about to say he's got this on a plate, and the only way he's going to lose it if the engine blows up, but that can happen.
Oh, and again, Bobby Game, the same thing.
Exactly the same thing. He's out with a seized engine now on the 7 kart.
This is absolutely disastrous. They are dropping like flies here at Shennington. 2 of the biggest names in this championship, Jamie Flynn and Bobby Game, out of the race, and that leaves the race lead up to Roy Johnson, who's hanging on in there in front of Ollie Clark.
And just off to the right, Jake through hanger. Turney's out now, so 3 sieges.
Oh my word.
In what, 2 laps?
That is an absolute disaster. This race, we're on the last lap. This race is going to be about who brings it to the checkered flag now, because they're all retiring for the race. There's Joe Turney. So we've lost Flynn, we've lost Game, we've lost Turney. What else is going to happen in this one? We've barely got any time left at all. Oh, there's contact!
Pettit looked up the inside. That looked like a sweet little move on the switchback, but unfortunately he's ended up in a collision with Lingard.
Well, Roy, bring it home from the man who didn't even complete a lap in the pre-final. Roy Johnson is going to win it. Roy Johnson comes through for the checkered flag. Absolutely unbelievable. Second is Oliver Clark from Ben Waldridge. Kimber 4th from Roman Haskett. Will Pettit, and the only other finisher, James Lingard. What a dramatic race.
Roy, all sorts of things going on in that race. What did you think when you saw the leader go out?
Yeah, Jamie was very fast at the start, and it was a bit unfortunate for him, but I'll have to take it. I think it was a good result in the end. Followed up good to yesterday with 2 wins yesterday as well, so can't really complain.
Who do you want to thank for this weekend then?
I'd like to thank Gordy from GFR for the engines. They've been fantastic all weekend. Big Stu, my mechanic, and mainly my mum and dad.
Nice to see Roy Johnson back on top. Mark Kimber leads the championship, moving forward to the final round. Oliver Clark and Joe Turney still there from Johnson, and Bobby Game in 5th. Just 1 to go. It's PF International. There's always drama, and with most classes still up for grabs, you won't want to miss this one. See you then.